Right, so this one is called Explorers of the New World. It's apparently about you get to read up on Columbus, Magellan, and Cortez. Old Hernan Cortez. But, hang on, where's me? Get rid of that. Let's jump in and have a look. Could be interesting. Like, I don't know too much about these guys. I know they're like pretty much every other explorer. Just, wrecking stuff all over the place. Hang on. Window capture again. Keep burping. Sorry, I had like Vegemite for breakfast and it's repeating on me. Right, Explorers, New World. Yeah, that crafts game we played before has kind of inspired me. Like, if I had like old burnt CDs, I could make like a little dude like that. IntelliQuest. Super Studio.
500 years ago, the entire known world lay between the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. This was the beginning of an extraordinary period in human history. Sailing first from Spain and then the rest of Europe came the explorers of the New World. Join Christopher
I even
Columbus,
get little photos on
Cortez, Ferdinand Magellan, and 60 other explorers, and experience firsthand what this amazing time was really like.
Ah.
Buongiorno.
Oh.
My name is Christopher Columbus. Click on me, and I'll show you how I conquered the ocean sea.
I am Hernando Cortez, conqueror of the Aztecs of ancient Mexico. Click on me and hear my story, and find out the ways of a conquistador.
I, Ferdinand Magellan, was the first to circumnavigate the world. Click on me to join me on my amazing adventure.
Yeah, cool.
Sure, you heard about Columbus, Cortez, and Magellan.
Fuck those
I sailed
guys.
with all three, and many more besides. If you click on me, I'll tell you about some other explorers who didn't make it to the front page.
It's hard to tell because of like the low quality, but that guy kind of looks a little bit like Bob Odenkirk. Right,
Welcome
let's
to Explorers
yeah,
of the
just
New
show me
World,
what we can do.
where you'll join the greatest explorers in history in an amazing interactive adventure. Land on the New World with Columbus, conquer natives with Cortez, circumnavigate the globe with Magellan. Just click on an explorer.
I'll
from
conquer
this
some
screen to
Aztec
begin.
natives if I get some gold out of it.
The next thing you'll see
Oh wow!
is that explorer's
I get
personal
like their
map.
full
You can
path.
click wherever you see a text label. Some clicks will take you to a short animated presentation. Other clicks will
Is that
plunge you
really a
into
mini game in
complete
this? That's
interactive
awesome.
world. Move your mouse around. Whenever a text label appears, there's something else to click and explore.
Right.
Some objects have two levels of information. Watch the cursor. If it changes to look
okay.
like this, you can click that object again.
I can get some more info. Oh, this artwork's amazing, though.
You can see more of the environment too. Just click the sides of the screen. To navigate through Explorers of the New World, use your
Can I
compass.
offer you an egg on a throne in this
5
trying
choices.
time?
Main takes you back to the first screen of the program. Return takes you back one step to where you just came from. Help brings up the help menu. Index lets you see every single place you can go in Explorers.
It's not
Easy to
Indux
use
this
tree
time
structure.
around, thankfully.
Quit stops the program. But not before you meet some of the people behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to see credits and stuff
Columbus,
like that.
Cortez, and Magellan are only 3 of the great explorers who set sail in those crucial years. Click other
Oh, maybe we get
explorers
some
to learn
stuff
who else
on
changed the map
Captain
of the
Cook,
world.
perhaps.
First, click on About.
Oh, it's just a database,
Then,
so.
click the explorer of your choice.
Oh, the audio shut itself on that bit. Okay.
Want to read more about it? You'll find a complete database of explorers.
Yeah,
Choose an explorer
alright, that's
from the
helpful.
alphabetical list. Or conduct a search of your own. Every article that has the word you've chosen will be displayed.
Yes, I
Want
need
put
to know
things in
more about
historical
America
context?
Vespucci.
Choose the timeline, then click the arrows to move forward and backward through time.
Yeah, does that work in real life? Can I, like,
How did the
go back
explorers
to the
affect the world
90s?
today? Click Impact. Then choose an object to see how it's
Why is
influenced
there
what
a
we
cigarette
eat
in
or
a
do.
chair?
Explorers of the New World.
Oh, it's
are
probably
full of
something about,
surprises.
like, exporting, trading tobacco or something.
If you're ready, go out and explore with the Explorers of the New World.
Yeah, alright, I'm roped in. I'm intrigued. Let's start with Magellan, though. Don't really... He's probably the one I know the least about.
When my ships sailed around the globe, we joined east and west and taught the world it was one. Click on a site, or click on my ship, and come with me on this historic voyage.
Yeah, right.
In 1519, Ferdinand Magellan set out from Spain on what he thought would be a short journey to the Spice Islands. In fact, the arduous trip took 3 years and cost the lives of Magellan and most of his crew.
Oh, okay.
However, his expedition achieved something unique, proof that it was possible to circumnavigate the globe. Click on a site to learn what happened along the way.
Yeah, right. Oh wow, there's a lot of stuff on here. Let's have a look at Magellan's ship. Oh yeah, a little wireframe on that.
Welcome to the Trinidad, Magellan's flagship. Let's take a look at some of her major features. There were usually 3 masts on a ship this size: the main mast, the mizzen mast, and the foremast. Sails were attached with horizontal or diagonal yards. The rudder was attached to the rear of the ship. The helmsman would sit in a small compartment and steer according to instructions
they didn't
called
even
to
have,
him through
like,
a hatch by the pilot.
Steering wheels and shit like that.
Before there were
Okay.
clocks, time was kept aboard ship with an ampoletta, or hourglass. The ship's boy on watch duty turned the ampoletta every half hour when it ran out. Magellan's ships carried only a few cannon, but their impact on natives was impressive.
I can imagine.
Stews were cooked in the fogon, or firebox, each day around noontime when the watch changed. This was the sailor's main meal of the day, and usually contained beans or chickpeas and rice with a small amount of salted meat. Because the ship's water quickly turned putrid, wine was a big part of the daily allowance. Sailors were allocated as much as 2 liters a day per man.
Holy
and most
shit,
of the
that's
men
pretty
were
good.
Slightly drunk all day.
Yeah, that's it's strange that they had a mutiny at this point, though. Oh, that's cool. They got like little. Oh, the animation on that's kind of cool, though. All right, do we want to go through all of these or just pick out highlights? Yeah.
Magellan arrived in Spain in 1517 with a brilliant proposal for young King Charles I. The Spice Islands lay within Spain's sphere of influence, Magellan said, but the established route there lay under Portugal's control. Using a bit of false advertising,
So it's got an
Magellan
old map.
claimed
I'm trying to
that
work
he
out
knew where
where
the
that
straits
is
were that
relative
would allow
to,
them
like,
to sail
real
west
life.
through the New World into the Pacific.
Asia, I guess that's India.
From there,
That's like
they could
China.
easily sail to the Spice Islands. King Charles of Spain agreed to give him 5 ships: the Trinidad, the San Antonio, the Concepcion, the Victoria, and the Santiago.
Hey, cool. All right. Yeah, I gotta listen to St. Elmo's Fire again. It's a good
Magellan's
song.
fleet left Spain in August 1519. King Manuel of Portugal, furious at Magellan for undertaking a voyage of discovery for Spain, sent warships to arrest Magellan for treason.
Yeah, why do you
Magellan,
gotta say
knowing his
Portugal?
danger, avoided the Portuguese ships by sailing down the African coast, figuring to head west at the Atlantic's narrowest point. But he had led his fleet into equatorial doldrums. No winds blew in the still waters. The other captains, all Castilians, grew angry at their Portuguese leader. Finally, westerly winds rose, only to blow them into fierce storms. The electrical charge in the air created balls of sparks that made the masts look as if they were on fire.
Get over here, you damn cherubs. Fuck
Some
off.
believed that the glowing lights were saints protecting them. This phenomenon is known as St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh, it's like a sciencey phenomenon. Okay. Yeah, Brazil. Bit of
From
mutiny.
January until April 1520, Magellan's fleet sailed south, looking for the straits that would lead them into the Pacific. Storms battered the fleet. The weather grew colder. Food ran low. Magellan decided they must settle in for the winter. From the beginning of the journey, tensions had mounted between the many Castilian nobles aboard and the foreigner Magellan. Now unhappy with Magellan's decision to spend the winter on the freezing coast, some captains and officers mutinied. They took over 3 of the 5 ships.
Oh, bloody hell.
Magellan put down the mutiny with ruthless efficiency. First, he sent a messenger with a hidden dagger to slit the throat of Captain Mendoza.
Oh, do we get an animation for that,
one
though?
of the ringleaders of the mutiny. Then he blocked the exit of the bay where they were anchored, trapping the other 2 ships.
Bonk.
Because Magellan had worked closely with his crew and won their respect, most remained loyal, and the mutiny crumbled.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of those rich nobles whenever you can. Alright, Patagonia, South America. Yeah, let's see what life aboard ship was like.
Life aboard the ship is not for everybody. Even before all the meat rots, you have to watch the bugs dancing on your biscuit or on your head. Yes, we have plenty of bugs. We have fleas, weevils, lice, maggots, and we have rats. Big ones that we can hunt and eat. Some say the captain is nuts, and that we shall never find the passage to Asia.
To
Men
Aisha.
have died for mutiny, huh? So I keep my thoughts to myself. I just wish for some warm weather, and that maybe we shall meet some friendly natives.
Yeah, gotta love them natives. Oh, righto, so they ended up... Oh god, yeah, he died fucking... Like, this would have been like 6 months into the voyage, but still, yeah. Still got halfway to go. Okay, so the Spice Islands were New Guinea. Yeah, righto. Alright, yeah, we'll have a look at
In
these
March
bits.
1521, after 4 months of starvation at sea, Magellan's fleet sighted Guam. After skirmishes with natives there, they pushed on to an uninhabited island in the Philippines to nurse the sick. Soon visitors arrived from nearby islands. To everyone's amazement,
Greetings from
Magellan's
Charles
slave
I.
Enrique, who was born in the Philippines, could understand their speech. If he had come home, that meant the expedition had reached Asia. Magellan had achieved his goal, to reach the east by sailing west. Columbus's dream had at last been realized.
Oh, and it didn't read out the thing, and apparently he had a Filipino slave called Enrique. Yeah, because that's definitely a big thing. Yeah, like there's a very large Spanish influence in the Philippines to this day. Yeah, let's see how he
Local
died.
chieftain Lapu-Lapu had defied Magellan's authority and refused to recognize the rule of the Spaniards' native ally King Umabon. Magellan led an expedition of 60 of his men to teach Lapu-Lapu a lesson. Magellan expected an easy victory over the naked natives, but the battle was a disaster. 1,500 natives bombarded the Spaniards with arrows and rocks as they waded ashore, and the Spaniards could not use their guns or crossbows because of the terrain. Most of the men ran back to the boats, leaving Magellan and 8 others exposed on the beach. After Magellan was wounded, the natives surrounded him and stabbed him to death with their spears.
Yeah, right. To Spice Islands.
Magellan's death at the hands of Philippine King Lapu-Lapu was a tragedy for his expedition. First, their ally, Umabon, turned against them, slaughtering several of Magellan's officers in a surprise attack. There weren't enough sailors left to man the 3 remaining ships, so the Concepcion was burned, and her men divided
Hang on, they
between
lost
the
2
Victoria
ships
and the Trinidad.
like, between here and
In early
Spain?
November
Bloody hell.
1521, the 2 remaining ships finally arrived at the Moluccan island of Tidor. Al-Mansur, the Raja of Tidor, agreed to trade their goods for a large load of cloves, a precious commodity in Europe. The 2 ships were loaded with cloves and ready to depart when disaster struck again. The Trinidad's seams burst. The Victoria would have to leave without her.
Man, this looks like a bit of a shit run all around. So he died. Yeah, let's just go to Homecoming. Homecoming.
In
There we go.
September 1522, almost 3 years after Magellan set out, the battered Victoria sailed up
Yeah,
the
they definitely would have had
Guadalquivir
some
River
splaining to
Seville.
do to lose like 4 ships in that time.
Though only 1 ship had returned out of 5, its load of cloves was in those days so valuable that the expedition still made a modest profit. Of 285 men
Holy
who had
shit.
set out with Magellan, only 18 had survived. These survivors had accomplished something new in human history, a voyage circling the globe. Not only was the world round, but it could be circumnavigated. At last, the true outlines of the Earth could be known. During the 3-year voyage, Magellan's wife and son had died. The victorious Captain Del Cano received great honor, but no heir of Magellan's ever received the money and spoils due him. Magellan's only legacy was his heroic deed and the new knowledge that he had contributed to human understanding.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Well, there you go. There you get a little abridged story about Magellan. Alright. We might leave no, maybe check some other explorers. We'll click on
After
Bobo
you've chosen
Odenkirk.
an explorer, click on a place shown on his map to learn even more.
I just want to see if there's anything Cordota. No Cook. Okay. Hang on. Did N? Gama? Yeah, no Cook. Okay. I'm just wondering if there's any other ones I know off this list. John Davis. Oh, the lead singer of Korn. Let's see what he got up to.
Called the father of Arctic discovery, John Davis found the entrance to the Northwest Passage, but didn't realize it. Thinking he had failed, Davis turned southward and discovered the Falkland Islands.
Huh. Okay, and then also just went over to the Philippines and Southeast Asia as well. Okay. What's in the data box? Oh, that just goes to the database. Yeah, righto.
After you've chosen...
Yeah, is there anything about bloody Captain Cook in here? Hang on. Cook. No topics, nothing about Captain Cook.
After you've chosen an
I'm a
explorer,
little disappointed.
click on a place...
Who else we got? Oh, yes, the Wells Rally I've heard of. The Welser family? Never heard of them. Okay, never heard of any of these guys, really. Okay, well, let's see what Columbus got up to.
Before you lie the important places of my life. The grandeur of Ferdinand and Isabella's court. My legendary voyage aboard the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria to the fabled islands of the Indies, and all my many adventures. Just click on a site to step into my world.
From the years 1492 to 1504...
Pretty sure
Christopher
Columbus had a
Columbus
better
made
run
4
than
journeys to the New
Magellan.
World. Click on the court to experience how it all began. Or choose a stop along the route map to join the adventure. Enter the New World to see
Yeah, that
what
was
Columbus
it.
found.
I watched that
Or
ages
visit
ago.
Rise and Fall for a glimpse of the glory.
I think it was
and
just called The
tragedy of
Bounty. It was
Columbus.
about the whole Fletcher Christian and the mutiny on the Bounty, and it was like Mel Gibson and Anthony Hopkins. It was actually a good watch, but yeah, it just shows you that, like, yeah, a lot of explorers died just because, you know, tensions increased, fucking everything broke down, and it just all went to shit, and they got murdered. Let's. Oh, hang on, Royal Court.
My destiny was determined in the court of Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain. Please join me. I do not wish to be late.
Yeah, right.
Columbus paid his decisive visit to King
This
Ferdinand
guy
and
having
Queen
a shit.
Isabella in the fall of 1491. Here you will find many of the people who helped or hindered Columbus, as well as information about Columbus's world. Click around to learn more, or click near the left and right sides of the screen to walk about the Spanish monarch's dazzling court.
Oh, you can have a look around and shit. Okay.
All the great navigators sailed east to the Indies, a long and arduous journey. I knew I could reach the Indies by sailing west, but convincing the right sponsor to pay for my voyage has been difficult. My previous audience with the king and queen was a bit disappointing, but this time my proofs are indisputable. I pray they will agree.
Yeah, because I vaguely remember watching a movie about Columbus in the 90s. It might have been like a mini-series or something. I
Allow
just
me to present
can't
my
remember
flag.
specifics about it. Yeah, righto. Yeah. Oh, he's the treasurer. He's having shit on his treasure chest.
Luis de Santangel, the king's treasurer, was so wealthy that he loaned money to the king and queen. Queen Isabella would have rejected Columbus's proposition if Santangel had not advised her otherwise.
Oh, okay. And we don't get any more information on the second click. Okay. Yeah, let's see some more FMV though.
And so, in summary, as your most beloved, esteemed highnesses can see, I present a journey that offers great rewards at little expense. and I only ask for 10% of any riches found, governorship of any lands acquired, knighthood, to be named Admiral of the Ocean Sea, all titles hereditary, of course, and a little villa in the Spice Islands.
The Spice Islands. Yeah, righto. Hey, coat of
Before the
arms.
marriage of Ferdinand and Isabella, Aragon and Castile were two separate Spanish kingdoms. When Ferdinand of Aragon married Isabella of Castile,
When the lion
they
and the
united
castle
their
had
two
sex.
kingdoms and formed the basis of the modern Spanish state.
Yeah, righto. Yeah, they seem to have conquered, like, most of that back in the day. Alright. Can we... hang on. Yeah, no, give me the plan. What's the plan? Hang on.
Ferdinand was a skilled diplomat who dealt with external politics and treaties with other European countries. But Isabella is usually portrayed as the stronger of the two Spanish monarchs. After commissioning Columbus's first voyage, she insisted that
Ferdinand was
all
a bit of a
revenues from
beta, was he?
future expeditions go to Castile, and that only Castilians be recruited as colonists.
It was there was another game I played that was kind of like that. Like, what was it? Conquest of the New World? It's kind of like Civ, but with more of this sort of stuff.
After Columbus's first audience with the Spanish monarchs, the Queen appointed one of her advisors, the monk Talavera, to head a panel of priests, astrologers, and scholars to investigate Columbus's proposal. The Talavera Commission
These
considered
animations are
Columbus's
awesome, though.
sources, and they rejected his proposition because they determined
No.
that the distance to landfall in Asia was too great. They were correct, and Columbus was wrong, except that the Americas lay in between.
Right. Alright, I think we did Columbus's plea. Where's the hotspot for the plan? What was the plan? I know, the idea.
Everyone
Oh, it's
knows
the
that
scrolls.
Earth is
Okay.
round. Aristotle proved this already in ancient Greece. He saw as clearly as we do that the shadow of the Earth on the moon is round. What would make such a shadow except a spherical Earth? And if the Earth is a globe, one who sails
It's
into the
almost
ocean
like
sea
kind of
not
Terry
only
Gilliam
won't
inspired
fall
these
off,
animations.
but would have to reach the Indies. I
Yeah,
propose,
right.
therefore, to sail west to reach the east.
Yeah, righto. So what else we got? The plan.
In the Middle Ages, the official maps of the Church, the Mappa Mundi, divided the world as it was known into three parts: Europe, Asia, and Africa. They included the Garden of Eden as well. It was my genius to create my own map using both the latest in scientific knowledge and the wisdom of the classics. I began with a map created by Ptolemy in the 2nd century AD. From there, well, you can see for yourself what I concluded.
Help Columbus calculate the degrees from Europe to Asia. Click a picture to change the map.
Oh, okay.
When you're done, click Final Tally.
Yeah, right. Hang on. Can we change this? How do we... Hang on.
The world is a sphere and can be divided into 360 degrees. Ptolemy asserted that 180 degrees of the Earth's circumference were covered by land,
yeah, so
and
degrees
the rest
this way
by
around the
water.
world. Yeah, okay. Oh, we're...
The world is a sphere.
Hang on.
Marco Polo wrote about Asia in his famous travel reports. He claimed that Asia was 28 degrees larger than Ptolemy's figure. He also claimed that Japan was 30 degrees off the coast of China.
Oh. Okay, Canary Islands.
Columbus thought that Marinus of Tyre had made a small error in one of his calculations. He added 8 degrees to Marinus's total of 225 for Eurasia.
Oh.
Columbus then chose the smallest figure of miles per degree he could find from the current scientific opinions. He estimated 40 miles per degree and multiplied by 60 degrees to arrive at 2,400 miles to Asia, traveling west. But Columbus had created an Earth 2/3 of its actual size. In fact, the distance from Europe to Asia is 11,000 miles. And yet, land does lie 2,400 miles from Europe, the Americas. Columbus had the right idea for the wrong reasons.
Okay. That's cool. Pitch the idea, the plan. Now we'll go back and check all the rest of it. Right. Volcano sighting.
August 24th, 1492. I passed this night near Tenerife, where the great volcano on that island erupted in a fiery display.
Yow!
Many members of the crew were astonished and frightened, for they had never seen such an occurrence. I calmed them, and I explained the cause of this great fire.
Okay.
How does a navigator on the open sea know where he is? Pick an instrument or map to find out how sailors navigated in Columbus's time.
Yeah, oh, apparently we can't navigate with bread or pears.
A magnetic field flows around the Earth from the North to South poles. Columbus's compass contained a magnetized needle that would point to the Earth's North Pole. Once he knew where North was, Columbus could steer in whatever direction he wanted to go. But variations in the Earth's magnetic field sometimes caused a compass to point east or west of true north. Differences between compass readings and sightings of the North Star caused Columbus's men to become nervous. But Columbus had experienced magnetic variation on other journeys and was able to calm his men and guide his ship.
They actually had experience with all that. That's helpful. Yeah.
The most common navigational technique in the 15th century was dead reckoning.
Yeah,
If
because
a
I can't
navigator
remember that.
knows
I
his
think,
starting
like
position,
I've explained the whole
his
thing
direction
with the
of
Southern
travel,
Cross, like
his
how you
speed,
find south
and
with it.
how long he has been
And
sailing.
I'm pretty sure
He
it
should be
points to
able to
like
calculate
true
how
south,
far
because
he has
obviously the
traveled.
stars ain't going to
Therefore,
move around
where
all
he
that much,
is.
are they?
But it doesn't always work, because maintaining steady direction while sailing is difficult, and ocean currents also act on the ship, changing its position. Columbus is considered one of the greatest navigators of all time because of his excellent use of dead reckoning.
Dead reckoning, you say? Okay. Can't click on the buoy though. A speedometer.
Columbus did not have a speedometer as boats and cars do today. To determine the ship's speed, a sailor threw overboard a wooden chip tied to a line. Another would call out a counting chant while the wood floated from bow to stern. They calculated their speed based on the time it took the wood to traverse the length of the ship.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
In Columbus's time, a sailor could determine his latitude by measuring the height of the sun or the North Star, using such instruments as the quadrant and the astrolabe. This is called celestial navigation.
Yeah, a little bit.
Here's how
I
the
didn't
quadrant
realize there was stuff before
It's
a
basically
sextant.
aligned with the horizon, with the movable arm pointing at the sun or North Star. The arm of the quadrant would indicate the angle between the horizon and the star. Using this angle, the navigator could calculate his latitude on the globe. But celestial navigation was only partially effective. Instruments were inexact. If clouds obscured the stars and sun, a reading would be impossible, and there was no way to determine longitude.
Okay. Right, so what else? We did navigation. Yeah, let's see what Sargasso is.
Monday, September 17th, 1492. I saw a great deal of weed today.
Sorry, Cringer, but I need the weed for one of my experiments.
Some of the weed looks like river grass, stretching to the north as far as you can see. In some places, the weed is so thick that it actually held back the ships. We kept as clear as possible from those mats of weed. But in a way, this weed comforted the men, since they have concluded that it must have come from some nearby land.
Okay. Yeah, new mutiny.
I am having serious trouble with the crew, despite the signs of land we have seen. All day and night they complain that they will never return home. They say it is insanity and suicide on their part to risk their lives to follow the madness of a foreigner. I am told by a few trusted men that if I persist
coming
in
on.
sailing onward, the crew will throw me into the sea one night and say that I fell overboard. Since I am Italian by birth and not Spanish, little or no account will be asked of the matter. But with God's help, I shall persevere.
Yeah, righto. Alright, new world. Hang on, we can go to new
Columbus
world.
first
There we go.
landed in Navidad 2 months after
Oh
setting
yeah,
sail
we didn't
from
check
Spain.
out the rest of the castle.
There
I
he
might
found
do
a
that after
wondrous
this.
array of exotic sights, sounds, and natives. Explore this new world with Columbus by clicking with your mouse. You
Yeah.
can enter the jungle and go even deeper.
Yeah, cool. Alright.
Here, the fishes are so unlike ours that it is amazing, colored in 1,000 ways. And the colors are so bright that anyone would marvel and take great delight in seeing them.
Yeah, okay. Iguana.
Roasted iguana was a favorite food of the Arawaks.
Mm.
Luckily for the Indians, the Spanish were repulsed by the idea of eating the lizards. As the Spanish plundered their other food supplies, they left the iguanas alone.
Oh, yeah, and yeah. Would be a reason they probably survived to this
Canoes
day.
existed
Just
in
didn't
the
get
Far
eaten
East,
out.
but the Spaniards had never seen any before. Up to 100 feet in length, canoes linked the Arawaks to the other Caribbean islands. They were used for war and trade, as well as transportation.
Oh, cool. Oh, a little second thing on
Building
the
a
canoe.
canoe was a complex process. Without steel axes, it took 2 months to fell a tree. First, the Indians set fire to the base, using wet moss to prevent the fire from spreading. Then they used a stone axe, which was used to chop away the burnt wood. Eventually, the tree fell. After its branches were removed, more fire and wet moss were used to hollow the trunk. Charred bits were scraped out, and the inside of the canoe was rubbed smooth using rough shark skin or coral.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, yeah. Move around the place. Head into the jungle. Oh, yeah. Parrots.
The song of the little birds might make a man never wish to leave. The flocks of parrots that darken the sun and the large and small birds of so many species are so different than our own, it is a wonder.
Okay.
The country all around the river is full of trees, beautiful and green and different from ours, each with flowers and its own kind of fruit. I never tire from looking at all the luxurious...
Yeah, they probably would have
vegetation,
taken all
which
this
is
like
so
straight from
different
his
from ours.
diary
You can
entries.
even
So,
smell the flowers as you approach the coast. It is the most fragrant thing on earth.
alright. We get to go visit the natives, I guess. Ooh, we get some booby. Making some
Cooking was done in earthenware vessels and on grills over the fire. Barbecue is a Spanish word coined in the New World by the explorers, who enjoyed the taste of grilled fish and meat.
tasty. Is this all we get though? Oh no, we can explore around a bit. Oh yeah.
Arawak women made pottery from riverbed clay and baked finished pieces in the fire to harden them. Cassava root produced a higher yield of starch per acre than maize, barley, wheat, or potato. Cassava bread, cake, and porridge supplied 70% of the Arawak diet.
Yeah, cool. Ooh, smoke up.
The Indians called their cigars tabaks. Columbus's first voyage introduced Europeans to the tobacco habit.
Ah, okay.
These people of the Indies are like children. I gave them red caps and glass beads, things of little value. It was a wonder to see how happy these trinkets made them and how quickly they have become our friends. It pleases me to have won their affection because we can convert them to our holy faith better by love than by force. They will make good servants too, because they carry out very quickly whatever tasks we give them. With 50 men, you could subject everyone and make them do whatever you wish.
So where else can we go? Oh yes, stuff over here. Bit of
Arawak
farming.
Indians subsisted mostly by farming. Agricultural methods were simple, and the whole community worked together to plant and harvest the crops. Arawak mothers carried their babies on their backs, strapped to boards, while working inside or outside. As they moved, the baby's head smacked against the board and fashionably flattened its head.
Really?
Arawak Indians were very
Okay.
peaceful and had little use for weapons. Bows, arrows, and spears were used only for hunting.
Yeah. Oh. Yep. Oh.
Hola! This is the life, right? We all thought he was crazy. Who could say where the Indies really were? But it is so nice here. And the Indians, they are so friendly. I like being an explorer. Some of the food they eat is disgusting though, eh? Like white worms and bugs. and lizards like little dragons. Iguana they call them. Ugh. But they do make a good sweet wine, and we have learned to smoke an enjoyable herb. Tobacco, it's called. Have we reached the islands of the coast of Asia? Or have we found the Garden of Eden?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what do they got for booze?
Arawaks drank a wine made of fermented cassava. Old women would chew cassava bread until it was thoroughly mixed with saliva and then spit into an urn. After
Gross.
2 or 3 days, it turned alcoholic. The language barrier kept the Spaniards in blissful ignorance of the winemaking process, and they enjoyed the Arawak drink with relish.
Right. Yeah, alright, settle down, mate. Let's get
The Spanish
ourselves
sailors
into
found the
mistress.
native women friendly and responsive to them. However, they soon ceased to differentiate between willing and unwilling women. Thus, rape became one of the first forms of violence done to the Indians.
Level 2 break.
In return for a rapist's ugly deed, the perpetrator often got an unexpected payback: syphilis. Syphilis traveled back to Europe
Really?
after Columbus's first voyage and spread rapidly across the continent.
That's
at
where
the close of
syphilis
the
came from,
15th
I guess.
century.
Okay.
The pustules, chancres, and skin ulcers preceding death were so horrible that syphilis replaced the plague as an object of dread.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a hawksbill.
Hawksbells were tied to the legs of game birds in falconing. Columbus brought them to conduct trading, and the Indians loved the tinkling noise they made.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, alright. Fort. Good hunting. Yeah, I do want to go back and check out the castle.
My destiny was determined in the court of Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain.
Yeah, right.
Columbus
No, we
made-
saw all this. Oh, yeah. Conquest of the Moors. Also did... There's silk. Christianity, Inquisition. Yeah, I'll read up on the Inquisition,
The
I guess.
Inquisition investigated and punished religious heresy. It was often used by the Church to destroy rival Christian groups. Instituted by Pope Gregory IX in 1233, the Inquisition frequently used terrible tortures to force confessions. Punishments for heresy included execution, usually by burning at the stake. Victims who repented might be condemned to life imprisonment or receive a less painful execution.
Yeah, okay. Yep, spices. Alright, I did all that. Yeah, I've got to push on a little bit. We're sort of getting at 40 minutes on this one.
Columbus is remembered for the glory of his first voyage when he discovered the Americas. But Columbus made 3 other voyages, and his star did not always shine so brightly. Page through these chronicles to read of his ascension to glory and subsequent descent into despair.
Yeah,
Click on the
okay.
buttons to learn more.
Since I returned from Asia, I have been the rage of Spain. The king and queen now address me as Don Christopher, and the rest of the court call me Admiral. The nobles are fascinated by the strange birds and plants I brought with me. At my homecoming banquet, the king even tasted food from my plate, an honor reserved for those closest to the throne.
Bit of a dick move, if you're being
My
honest.
second expedition
That
will
takes off
include
my plate.
17 ships and 1,200 men. They will call me Admiral at sea and Governor of the new lands.
Yeah, because that's right. He made a pretty big deal to...
Christmas
for
Day,
completing the thing.
1492. As the Spaniards prepare to return to Spain, the Santa Maria runs aground in Hispaniola. It cannot be repaired. Seeing in this a sign from God, Columbus establishes a settlement there. He names it Navidad, in honor of the Christmas holiday. The colony will be a trading outpost to allow the Spaniards to continue searching for the riches they knew they'll soon find here in the East. Leaving the settlement behind, Columbus sails back to Spain with the Nina and Pinta and most of his men.
You're right. Down to Spain.
Columbus returns a hero from his historic voyage. Ferdinand and Isabella eagerly plan his next expedition, which will establish colonies to harvest the anticipated riches of the East and begin converting the crown's new subjects to Christianity. In September 1493, 17 ships sail from Cadiz, carrying 1,200 men.
Okay, where do you come into trouble?
These heathens attack us, but it's my men who are to blame. Each looks only to increase his own fortune, even at risk to the group. When I tell them to be patient while searching for gold, they don't listen. Instead, they attack the Indians, and when they find no gold, they rape their women. Is it a surprise that the natives attack us?
Okay, all colonists
Columbus's
killed.
second expedition reaches Hispaniola. Instead of the Spaniards they left behind and stores of gold, they find nothing. The settlement is gone. The Navidad colonists, bored and failing to find gold, had plundered and raped. The Indians grew tired of the Spaniards' abuse and decided to rid the island of the strange bearded white men. No one was spared.
Ah, okay.
Now Columbus begins building a new settlement, which he names Isabella, after the Queen. As soon as he can,
Didn't learn a
he sets
lesson
off
out
to
of any of
explore
that.
further, leaving his brother Diego in charge.
Okay.
Spring and summer, 1494. Leaving the new settlement in the hands of his brother, Columbus sets off to explore Asia. Everywhere he sails, he finds friendly natives, but no gold. No signs of the riches of the Indies. More puzzling,
You'd
nothing
think they
matches his
would have
charts of
known,
Asia.
like, you'd have to go to, like, mountainy
Where's Japan?
areas to find gold
Where's
and
the
stuff.
mainland, the seat of the great Khan's fabulous wealth? Sailing along
You'd think
Cuba's
they would have
long
taken,
southern
like,
coast, he believes he has found the mainland
Not
at
fast,
last.
because, you know,
He
geologists,
stops
something
just
like
short
that.
of the island's tip, where he forces his men to swear in an affidavit that they have indeed located the Asian mainland.
Ah, okay. Decides to pull some bullshit.
1494 to 1496. While Columbus was busy exploring, the settlement at Isabella was not faring well. Columbus's glowing reports had led the colonists to expect immediate wealth and to assume the natives would work for them. But living conditions are primitive, food supplies limited, and gold scarce. More and more restless, the colonists ransack native villages for easy spoils. The natives respond with hostility and attack them. Then disputes over booty and native women lead to infighting among the Spanish themselves. When Columbus returns from his 5 months of exploring, he's unable to bring the situation to order.
Yeah, righto. And, yep, enslavement never a good thing.
1495. Columbus, frustrated at the small amount of gold he finds, thinks of other money-making schemes, like enslaving the natives. Against royal wishes, Columbus sends 500 slaves to Spain for sale. But slavery profits would not fill the royal coffers. Gold must be found, gold mine or not.
Okay. So the disgraces.
Has anyone ever heard of such injustice? I delivered the Indies to the king and queen, yet I am arrested like a petty criminal. Let them bury me in these chains as a sign of Spain's ingratitude. Anyone who has eyes to weep, he should weep at all the abuse I have suffered.
Okay, what did you do?
1496. When stories of chaos in the new colony filter back to Spain, the monarchs send investigators. Many colonists, disappointed by the lack of easy spoils as much as by Columbus's faults, use the opportunity to slander Admiral Columbus. Columbus sails to Spain to defend himself against accusations of mismanagement. He finds that enthusiasm has waned at court because the colonies have not produced the expected wealth. Not until 3 years later do the monarchs outfit Columbus for his return journey.
Okay. Arrest.
August 1498. Columbus returns to Santo Domingo, but the colony does not prosper. Meanwhile, disturbed by continuing reports of disorder, Isabella and Ferdinand send Royal Commissioner Francisco de Bobadilla.
I'll find out what's going on with my
De
giant
Bobadilla
magnifying
finds
glass.
such extreme turmoil in the colony that he assumes authority by force in the name of the crown.
I gotta
Columbus and his
explain
brother
up a
Diego,
little bit.
the
Been sitting
acting
there for a
governor of
little
the
while.
colony, for incompetence.
Just incompetence. That's why he's arrested. You shit at your job, mate.
For months, we've been stranded. waiting for the new governor to send a rescue ship. I wrote to the Queen about the gold fields here. I haven't actually seen them, but the natives told me you only need men to mine the gold, but not nobles, only settlers who know how to work. And after we get the gold, we'll find the mainland. The Chinese will welcome us. But
Sure they will.
first, I have to get off this island. You know, some people say we haven't found Asia, but an unknown continent. But I know the truth. We are in the Indies.
Okay.
Fall, 1502. After the Portuguese explorer da Gama found an East Sea route to India in 1500, the Spanish monarchs decided to seek a western route once more. Columbus had been begging to sail again, so they outfitted him with 4 broken-down ships.
Sure.
Believing he is sailing along the Malay Peninsula, Columbus explores up and down the Central American coast, looking for an opening onto the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, and that's right. They didn't
Natives
find
describe
one, and
many
they
gold
eventually made
fields
one,
inland.
which is why you got like the
Columbus does not
Suez
check
and
the
the
truth
other
of their stories
canals.
by exploring on land, and as a result, misses the chance to discover the Pacific Ocean. Instead, pounded by fierce storms, he gives up and heads for Spain.
Right.
March 1503. Abandoning his search for a passage to the Indian Ocean, Columbus heads for Spain. But his ships are leaking and on the verge of collapse, forcing him to run aground in Jamaica. There, his unhappy sailors mutiny and plunder native villages. The friendly natives turn hostile and refuse to supply the Spaniards with food. Columbus's knowledge of astronomy saves them. Knowing that a solar eclipse is imminent, he warns the Indians
Man, he
that if
really
they don't
was a
provide
bullshit
food,
artist, wasn't
his
he?
god will take the sun away. When the eclipse begins, the frightened natives appeal to Columbus. Once they swear to provide supplies, the sun brightens again.
Yeah. Okay. And then he's stuck there.
1503 to 1504, shipwrecked in Jamaica, Columbus sends a sailor in an Indian canoe to Hispaniola to request a rescue ship. Contemptuously, the governor waits 7 months to send help. Rescue ships finally take the crew home in June 1504. Isabella, Columbus's champion, had died a few months before his arrival in Spain. The men who rebelled against Columbus's authority in Jamaica go unpunished, a final insult to the admiral.
Yeah. Yeah.
Columbus continued to plead for a chance to explore further, but he never sailed again. He died in Spain, still convinced that he made
Not.
4 voyages to
It's
Asia.
such a 90s thing, is that? Alright, yeah, no, that was pretty interesting, actually. Now we gotta go through, gotta check out Cortez.
As a youth of just 19, I sailed from Spain to Cuba. Click on a site and learn how I overthrew an empire of millions with only a few Spanish soldiers.
And some guts.
Click on my horse to join my campaign.
Yeah, alright.
In 1521, with only 600 Spanish soldiers, Hernando Cortez conquered the mighty Aztec Empire. How did he do it? Click a site along the campaign route to learn more.
Yeah, here we go. Oh man, there's heaps in here. Alright, might as well start from the beginning. Just gotta wait for that.
Soldiers,
And
not
the
farmers
eagles
or
finish
working
up.
men, first came from Spain to the Americas. They were looking for adventure and for gold. They conquered all of Hispaniola by 1496 and all of Cuba by 1515. Then they established the Spanish stronghold of Darien on the mainland. In 1519, Diego Velázquez, the conqueror and governor of Cuba, dispatched 3 expeditions to explore the mainland further. One of these expeditions was led by Hernando Cortez, history's most famous conquistador. By 1550, most of South America had come under Spanish dominion.
Fair enough. Alright, permission.
Cortez's assignment from Governor Velázquez of Cuba was to explore the Yucatan and make contact with the Aztecs. But the ambitious Cortez had aims of his own, conquest and gold. Suspicious of Cortez's enthusiasm, Velasquez tried to stop him after he left, but Cortez, picking up recruits and supplies at ports along the way, eluded him and pressed on. With 10 ships and 600 men, Cortez finally landed at Chianitlan on the Yucatan coast. Within 24 hours, runners had informed the Aztec Emperor Moctezuma 260 miles away.
Yeah, cool. Alright. And then we go on to the zoom in on the mainland there. Alright.
I ordered my men to act peacefully, hoping to convince these natives to accept Spanish rule without a fight. But they threatened that if we did not leave, they would have to kill us. So they attacked and, well, we killed many. This made them understand it would be better for them to accept us with peace. Then they bring us
With
food
peace.
and 20 slave women. One of these, Malinaldi, she will be very valuable. I christened her Marina. Who is this Moctezuma? How large is his empire? Why does he call me Quetzalcoatl? Does he think I am a god? I would like to be his god. What does this god look like, Marina?
I am the daughter of a Mayan noble, a great man. But when he died, my mother was forced to sell me as a slave. The Aztecs ruled us then. They were only a crude tribe from the north. But their gods became strong, and they conquered other tribes to feed the blood hunger of their god Huitzilopochtli. I hate them for what they did to the Maya, to the Totonac, to the Tlaxcaltec, and to me. You will wear black, Quetzalcoatl's color. I will teach you who the Aztecs will fight and who they will serve. You will learn how to make them serve you. Now we shall see whose gods are the strongest.
Man, if anything, this is just making me want to watch bloody Apocalypto again. That was a damn good movie.
As soon as we landed at Yucatan, I could see the Indians were richer and more sophisticated than those on the islands. Their clothing, their weapons, their well-built houses. Then the emissaries arrived from a king named Moctezuma, who ruled over them in an empire as big as Spain. The emissaries brought gold and exquisite jewels for us. They are rich and powerful, and yet they are frightened. I can see it in their eyes. They call me by the name of their god, Quetzalcoatl, and watch closely to see how I respond. They do not know who or what we are. My mission is to scout the land, but I believe I can do more. Marina has told me many of the tribes will be my allies against the Aztecs. Yes, I think perhaps I can deliver these lands on a golden platter to His Majesty, King Charles of Spain.
Yeah, cool. Alright, no return.
Soon after Cortez landed, Moctezuma's emissaries arrived, bearing fabulous gifts of gold, jewels, and featherwork. Their mission
Modern
was to
wrapping
discover
paper
the
for
strange
some reason.
visitor's strength, and to appease them in case they were gods. Cortez sent the gifts from Moctezuma directly back to Spain, bypassing Velasquez, the governor of Cuba. It was an act of rebellion. When men loyal to Velasquez revolted, Cortez brutally put down the revolt, and then destroyed his own ships to ensure there would be no turning back. Lured on by Cortez's promises of unbelievable wealth, his stunned men started their march inland.
Yep. Can't really do much else, can you?
Cortez and his new Indian allies traveled inland towards Tenochtitlan. Through the reports of spies and runners, Moctezuma watched their progress nervously. Cortez believed that the Tlaxcaltec Indians, enemies of the Aztecs, would ally themselves with him. However, the fiercely independent Tlaxcaltecs attacked the Spanish instead. Although the Tlaxcaltecs had nearly 30,000 warriors, the Spanish, with only about 600 soldiers, won many of the battles. This convinced the Tlaxcaltecs to join them. What weapons and techniques did the Spanish and Indians use in their battles? Click a weapon to learn more about it.
Oh, cool. Alright. Tactics.
Taking captives was a key goal of Aztec warfare. Killing the enemy on the battlefield meant you couldn't sacrifice him later. This practice gave the Spaniards plenty of time to cut down their Aztec adversaries. The Indians first subdued an enemy soldier by knocking him off his feet. Then he was bound and led to the rear for later sacrifice.
Ah, okay. Where's the hotspots?
The atlatl, or spear thrower, threw oak darts that were either barbed or pronged at the end. With a range of 200 feet, they could penetrate steel armor and deal a fatal blow.
Oh hell, that's pretty good.
The barbed darts were especially dangerous because they had to be cut out of the victim's flesh.
Yeah, okay. What else we got? Ah, the abacus.
The Spanish arquebus was an unwieldy gun and only partially effective. Loading was too slow for the close confines of the Indian battlefield, and the parts tended to rust up in the tropical damp. But the sound of the guns caused the Indians to panic and reinforced the notion that the Spanish were not normal men, but some form of god or demon.
Cool. Yeah, slings.
The Aztecs used slings of maguey fiber to hurl stones at the enemy. These stones, smoothed to increase accuracy, could wound even armored men. The Spanish were horrified by the hail of stones that greeted them at the beginning of the battles.
Okay.
Seville steel cut easily through the Aztec cotton armor. The superiority of the Spaniards' swords to the Indians' obsidian blades was so great that the Spanish later forbade any Indian from owning a Spanish sword.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, swords, horses. Yeah, horses would have given them a big advantage as well. Yeah,
The
crossbows
crossbow,
too.
designed to penetrate European steel armor, was unnecessary against the Indians. It was also clumsy to carry, slow to load, and quick to rust. However, the Spaniards used it throughout the conquest. Before the final siege of Tenochtitlan, Cortés asked the Texcoco Indians, his allies, to manufacture extra arrows for his men. They made 50,000, of better quality than the European ones.
Oh, cool. And of course, yeah, the cannons
The
were done
cannons
pretty well
terrified
too.
the Indians, who compared them to thunder. In the crowded battlefield, a cannon shot in the middle of the enemy created panic and confusion, as well as casualties. This psychological impact was at least as important as the cannon's effectiveness in killing.
Oh, cool. Alright, go back. They soldiers left.
The night in
This guy
Cholula
again.
was a bloodbath. We gathered the Indians together in their temple courtyard and we ran them through. We had to kill them because they were planning an ambush. Later we heard there was no ambush planned. It was a mistake. Bad interpreters. That's life. But do you know what our native allies did? They took away their victims and ate them. They are so bloodthirsty, these heathens.
Okay, fair enough. Alright, Tenochtitlan.
As Cortés marched inland toward him, Moctezuma decided he must offer these bearded white men hospitality. After all, they might be gods. So when Cortés and his men arrived in Tenochtitlan, the regal and bejeweled Moctezuma greeted them and housed them in a palace. But Cortés was nervous. Could it be a trap? Soon afterward, Cortés suddenly took Moctezuma prisoner. Still trying to appease them, Moctezuma lavishly entertained his captors and allowed them to loot the Aztec treasure stores. Then Cortés assembled the Aztec nobles before Moctezuma and demanded that they become vassals of Spain. Weeping, Moctezuma agreed.
Oh, that made things
Cortés
easy.
converted the great Aztec temple to a church, destroying the idols and halting all sacrifices, and began to take over the city. His victory was nearly complete when news came that Spanish ships had arrived on the coast to arrest him.
Okay. Fight them Spaniards.
Cortés had long defied Cuban Governor Velázquez, who was his superior. This was treason, and Velázquez now sent a 900-man force to arrest Cortés. Cortés set out from Tenochtitlan to confront them. For the first time on American soil, Spanish fought Spanish. Cortés bribed many of his pursuers to his side. Then, after he captured their leader, the conquistador Narváez, the others agreed to join with him. Enthralled by Cortés's stories of the riches of Tenochtitlan and his easy conquest, Narvaez's men set out with him to return to the capital.
Okay.
While Cortez was gone, the men he had left behind in Tenochtitlan attacked an Aztec religious ceremony, slaughtering 600 Aztec nobles. Now the Indians were shocked out of their passivity. When Cortez returned with Narvaez's forces, the Aztecs allowed them to enter the silent and watchful city. Then, led by Moctezuma's brother Cuitlahuac, they attacked the Spaniards' palace. Cortez ordered Moctezuma onto the roof to calm his people, but the furious mob stoned the emperor, killing him.
Like it looked like he got killed with a tomato. Alright.
The Aztecs have taken up arms against us. We are surrounded and cannot fight a whole city from here without food and water. We have no choice but to retreat. We will escape by night under cover of darkness, but we will return and they will feel our Spanish steel against their flesh.
Help Cortez and his men escape from Tenochtitlan. Click a number and answer the question. If you answer all the questions correctly, you'll be safe outside the walls of this city on the lake.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Alright. And some questions then.
You have never been in a city as impressive as Tenochtitlan, and you hate to leave.
What does Tenochtitlan...
What does Tenochtitlan have, which no other European city does?
Oh, okay. Marketplace. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have a zoo. Is that... Oh, is there a couple of answers? Hang on. Oh no. How do we answer the question then? Oh, okay. Ignore. Oh, that crashes the whole thing. Damn it. Ah, fuck. Alright. Oh, that crashed the entirety of Windows as well. Alright, now we'll quickly jump back in, because I did want to finish this. This is pretty cool. Thanks for playing. Thanks for wrecking my audio. Prick. Right. Oh, we gotta actually jump into it. Yeah. Oh, we gotta sit. Okay, we can just click through all this. Okay.
500 years ago.
Yep, Cortez.
As a youth,
Yep. We get the... There we go. Right, smallpox.
In the Aztec revolt that followed Moctezuma's death, the Indians forced the Spaniards to flee Tenochtitlan, those who were able to escape. But the Spanish had lost only a battle, not the war. Many new adventurers now arrived from Cuba to join Cortez's embattled forces. They brought with them exactly what Cortez needed for victory: ammunition, fresh supplies, horses,
And smallpox.
and smallpox. The disease quickly spread through the countryside. Reaching Tenochtitlan by October, thousands of Indians died in agony, leaving their lands undefended.
Yeah, that'll do it. Bloody hell.
The Aztecs' imperial policies had been cruel. Now, in their hour of greatest need, all former allies and vassal tribes refused to help them. In fact, many tribes, seeking revenge, joined with Cortez to destroy them. With 850
Bloody hell.
Spanish soldiers and 60,000 Indian allies, Cortez prepared his final assault. Meanwhile, Tenochtitlan was being destroyed by another invader, smallpox. The emperor Cuitlahuac had died from it, and a new emperor, Cuauhtémoc, was crowned in his place. For 4 months, the Spanish laid siege to the city, cutting off its food and water. On June 10, 1521, almost a year after he had been forced to flee Tenochtitlan, Cortez launched his final offensive. The Aztecs fought valiantly in fierce house-to-house combat, but at last they were forced to surrender. Cortez razed the city and built another on its ruins. The Aztecs, as a nation, had ceased to exist.
Yep.
How does one
Colonize the
nation
shit.
conquer another and build a new society in its place? Each piece of the puzzle before you represents one aspect of conquest and colonization. Click and drag the pieces onto the puzzle and see how the Spanish constructed a colonialist society in the New World.
Yeah, okay.
One way to promote your culture within a conquered nation is to intermarry with them. Many of the Spanish men who settled Mexico left their families behind and took Indian wives or mistresses. Their children became a new race of people called mestizos, who were brought up in Spanish culture.
Yeah, really. I'm already doing it.
How did the conquerors balance the need to protect the Indians with the desire to exploit them? Blatant abuses of the Indians by the colonists caused Spain to enact the laws of Burgos in 1512. The laws prohibited the worst mistreatment of Indians and appointed inspectors to make sure that settlers did not abuse or oppress them. But by the time these laws were fully enforced, millions of Indians had died of disease and overwork.
Yeah. Maybe they learnt from Columbus's fuck-ups.
Is it
probably why
morally
they did
justified to conquer another people? Church leaders saw conquest as good because it rescued the Indians from paganism and converted them to Christianity.
I just
But
love
then
the
they had a
priest
moral
at the
dilemma.
top here just going,
Was it right to
"Whoa."
exploit these new fellow Christians as a workforce? Was it permitted to take their land and plunder its resources? The debate raged on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yeah, okay.
How do you make it legal to conquer another people? The Spanish monarchs used a document called the Requerimiento. The Requerimiento was read aloud to the natives. They could remain free on their own lands by accepting Christianity and the authority of the church. But the document was read only in Spanish or Latin. When the uncomprehending Indians did not respond, their silence was considered rebellion, and their lands could be legally taken from them by force.
Tricky. Yeah, right.
Once you've conquered people in a war, what can you do with them? The Spanish organized all conquered Indians into encomiendas, villages or groups of villages supervised by a Spanish overlord. This overlord, or encomendero, provided protection and a Christian education to the Indians, who worked the land for him and paid tribute in food. The effect was to reorganize native society and culture.
Spiritus Sanctus. Oh, that's hilarious. No, that's cool. All right. Yeah, and I'm guessing. Yeah, I can't remember how Cortez died actually, but yeah, he did pretty well out of that conquest. All right, we'll finish off. We'll do
Pizza
city.
without tomatoes?
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood riding a llama? The items brought back by the explorers from the old world to the new, and from the new to the old, completely altered life all over the planet. Click on an object to see its impact on life today.
Yeah, you gotta click on the Siggy. Hang on.
The horses brought to the New World by the Spanish thrived in the American plains. Soon, vast herds of wild horses roamed the entire continent. Native Americans learned how to use these horses for working, hunting, and fighting. It's hard to imagine an Apache warrior without his favorite horse.
Yeah, that's a fair call.
Spaniards would never consider their meal complete without a good bottle of wine. If they hadn't insisted on bringing this crop with them to the New World, we wouldn't have the famous wines of California's Napa Valley. Starting the morning with a cup of fresh coffee is a habit many have grown accustomed to. Although the coffee North Americans drank was probably grown in Latin America, it didn't exist there until the explorers brought it over from the Old World.
Yeah,
There were
olives as
few
well.
places in the New World where the Spanish olive trees could prosper, and shipping them was notoriously difficult. But when 3 of these trees finally did make it to Chile and Peru, they formed the basis of a large olive oil industry.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering whether or not this is smallpox.
The Europeans brought to the New World a variety of deadly diseases, especially smallpox. Some historians estimate up to half the native population died in epidemics. This greatly reduced their ability to resist the European conquerors.
Yeah, okay. What else we got in the New World? Hammocks?
On early ships, lack of space forced the sailors to sleep out on deck, exposed to the elements. When the Spanish saw the hammocks of the Native Americans, they realized these beds could be used to make room for the entire crew inside a ship.
Oh, clever. What else we got? I love how it's hanging off the building in the background there too.
The turkeys native to America became a favorite food of the European colonists. And without turkeys, what would we do with all our stuffing? Several North and
I
South
do
American
like it is giving you factual information. It's cool that they've they're putting a bit of humor into it as
where
well.
it became popular.
Humor, not
The
human.
New World's most important cash crops.
You're right, eh?
The pineapples indigenous to South America were exported to many tropical areas and are now an important Hawaiian crop.
Oh, we got potatoes off them?
When the explorers brought potatoes back to the Old World, Europeans discovered it was far more nutritious than any of their native crops. Potatoes helped feed a population boom, especially in Ireland, where it was adopted as the national food. In the mid-1800s, when their potato crop failed, many Irish were forced to emigrate, particularly to America.
Yeah, okay.
The Spanish were not able to establish a direct trade route with the Spice Islands, but they did bring back some Native American spices. Paprika is the best known of these and became a staple of Hungarian cooking.
Yeah.
Corn, or maize, was the main crop of many Native Americans. Corn grows well in places that are too wet for wheat and too dry for rice, so it could be cultivated in fields previously thought unsuitable for farming. Today, corn is an important food for both man and animals, and is used in producing the gasoline
And
substitute
the explorer,
gasohol.
Jonathan Davis.
Once thought to be poisonous, tomatoes found in the New World became an integral part of Spanish and Italian cooking. Today, who can imagine a pizza without tomato sauce, let alone a hamburger without ketchup?
And
The
chocolate.
Aztecs introduced the conquistadors to the pleasure of drinking chocolate. The Spanish, in turn, improved this drink by adding sugar and vanilla. Later, other Europeans developed ways of producing solid chocolate for eating.
And then
In addition,
Starbucks was
we
created
introduced
and
cocoa
destroyed
bean
the
to
world.
Africa, where most of the world's cocoa is now grown.
Ah, wasn't aware of that. No, that's pretty cool. Can we get out of here now? No, that was actually really good. Like, that's why I spent an hour on it, because that was done well. That was really well done. Seeing, yeah, I might even look up some of the actors and see what else they ended up in. Yep, not seeing any of these. Not much in the way of credits either. Oh well. Yeah, and then we're done.
I'm watching Death Sandals video, by the way. That's who the person is. So if you want to watch a full playthrough, Death Sandals,